What's something you shouldn't give to a homeless person? Food that needs to be cooked. Also, food that requires a hard bite. Many are in need of dental care. I offered a man a Nature Valley granola bar once, cause that was all I had, but he turned me down because he couldn't eat it. Offered an apple once. He grinned and handed it back to me. He had only 3 teeth. A frozen turkey. Had a friend who used to send plated meals to the homeless people near her house, occasionally. One day one of them came to her door with a frozen turkey. Someone had driven to the homeless area and handed this woman a frozen turkey. When the woman delivered it, she said, "I figured you have an oven. Maybe you can use it." What did they think I was going to do with it? I've got a shopping cart, not an oven. As a kid, who was poor, but fortunately not homeless, we used to get a bunch of donated turkeys every Thanksgiving. Freezer would be wall to wall turkeys and we would be eating turkey for dinner for what seemed like months. Thank God we at least had a freezer, or no doubt much of it would have been wasted. People always donate turkeys on Thanksgiving, but ignore the rest of the year, I guess. But eating turkey for a couple of months is a lot better than eating nothing. I'm thankful for anyone who donated something I ate as a kid, as I don't know where I would be now otherwise. Dead, I guess. Our Grocure store used to donate turkeys every year for our Christmas drive, about 200 families, but they would run into the issue of people not being able to store or cook them, or just not practical to give a turkey to a family of 1 to 3 people, so now they give $25 store specific, handwritten gift cards for people to get whatever they need. I'm really surprised I haven't seen this answer, but anything of noticeably high value. Brand name clothing or shoes, expensive backpacks, watches, etc. This can get them killed, or at the very least targeted and mugged. It also makes things harder for them to be taken seriously and receive effective aid if they are dressed in expensive clothing or it's assumed they stole it, which is a whole other problem. This should honestly be the top answer. Rich people want to make themselves feel good and donate guxy sweaters and shit that will get them ducked up and robbed, and nobody will ever help a dude in a guxy sweater with a few bucks to get some food. It's just all around a really screwed up gift/donation. Related story time. I used to work at a thrift store in processing. Basically, I sorted donations, cleaned them up if needed, priced them, and put them out onto the floor. One day I got in a donation a bunch of those kits you see people put together for homeless people. They have things like a stick of deodorant, toothbrush/toothpaste, hand sanitizer, wet wipes, that sort of thing. I was going through them for things we weren't allowed to put onto the floor like medication. They had packets of Tylenol in them when I found a folded $50 bill in there. I unfolded it and it was one of those Christian pamphlet things, you know, the ones that say money isn't the cure for everything, only Jesus will get you into heaven, or whatever. So basically, don't get someone who's desperate for money fake money that says they shouldn't worry about money. Would be funny if people started putting those fake bill/Christian pamphlets into the collection plate. Yes, that is cruel. I've done outreach work. They get so much food and water, but females need feminine hygiene products and they all need socks. Nice socks and underwear are a small luxury that most people don't spend enough money on, but make a world of a difference. I buy 10 to 20 pairs of darn tough socks every year and hand them out. They are game changing. They keep you warm and dry in the winter, and in the summertime cool and dry. You can usually wear them for 1 to 2 weeks before needing to clean, need being an important word, and they are incredibly comfortable. I highly recommend them to everyone, but they are really game changing for someone who is out in the element year round. A hard time and disrespect. Mostly related, but I work at a homeless shelter and you would not believe some of the shit that comes through donations. Lingerie, beat up clothing and shoes, outdated appliances. If you want to donate, you can always call ahead and see if the shelter is looking for particular items. Seasonal clothing, hygiene items, not half-used shampoo bottles, and new socks and underwear are always good ideas. Edit. Thanks for the awards. For those asking, my shelter always has lots of donations including full bottles of shampoos, so I would rather give out a full bottle rather than half. That reminds me of my time when I worked at a homeless center for mentally ill homeless, and I was tasked with sorting out a box of DVDs that were donated. 75% of the box was porn. I used to work for a non-profit and we gave out branded tire pressure gauges. I'm not sure why. I thought it was an odd choice, but we found out one day while outreaching that some of our clients were turning them into crack pipes. Needless to say, we stopped giving those out. Haha. Laxatives. This homeless guy that used to live in a nearby bridge was given food that secretly had some sort of laxative in it. Needless to say, he became a lot more wary of free food afterwards. I don't think they ever found out who the pose that did it was. You gotta be a special type of awful to mess with homeless people. When I was a homeless kid, I used to get most of my meals from this one Burger King dumpster on Canal Street in NO. I never made a mess because I didn't want to get caught, but they must have seen me because they started dumping bleach all over the old food. I tried to sift them out, but one day I ate a burger with bleach on it and got really sick. I was 14. Duck them for poisoning a hungry kid. Ask them what they want. We had a homeless man who walked around in a garbage bag. Explain people kept giving him clothes, and 3 times he had been attacked for them. If you're not sure what they need, ask. Instead of cash, I asked a man what he wanted from the gas station and he asked for laundry detergent. We always think about food and shelter, which are fundamental, but hygiene is such a larger category of luxury that we take for granted. Laundry detergent actually sells for a decent price outside of stores. Liquid and pod laundry detergents are some of the most stolen products and typically end up being sold through the black market. TBH, this is gonna sound weird, but homemade food. It's better to give already packaged, ready-made food, so that there isn't any doubt that the food has been tampered with. There was a time in my area that people were poisoning homeless via homemade sandwiches. Don't just drop off food in to-go containers near someone's tent. If you're bringing food, talk to them, give it to them. Stacking up perishable food they can't manage or really throw away is only bringing mice to their living situation. Canned food with pull open tabs. Anything that is perishable, homemade food unless you know them. Judgment. People can be homeless for a variety of reasons. Not every homeless person is a bad person, and no one deserves to be homeless, whether how they got there or what they're doing while they're there is wrong to you. Good things. Baby wipes. Water bottles reusable too. Socks. Hand warmers. Hygiene products for periods. Best thing. Ask them. Each person is different, has access to different resources. The best way to know someone's needs is to ask them yourself. Eater. I say not homemade food, because people have sometimes added things in the food to make it inedible. From the toothpaste pranks to tea glass. Things can still be added to sealed food, sure, but definitely less likely and more noticeable, in my opinion. Years ago, I was nipping to my local supermarket and there was a homeless dude with a cute dog curled up next to him. Mindful that any money I gave him may be spent unwisely, I said I'd get his pupper some food, at which he responded, "Oh, for duck's sake, can you not?" Astonished, I was about to have a ducking meltdown on his ass, but he held up a finger and pulled a bag round from behind him. It was rammed with tons of dog food, clearly from other well-meaning shoppers. Closing the bag back up, he sighed heavily and exclaimed, "For the love of God, can you just buy me a ducking tin opener?" Edit. Wow. Thank you so much for your responses to this, which were entirely unexpected, and thank you too for the awards. Understandably, some of you have pulled me up on my assumption that the homeless guy may have spent the money unwisely, so I thought I'd better provide more information as to my thinking at the time. There was a real issue in those days with homelessness, drug taking and alcoholism, which I know is still a problem everywhere. I get it, I really do, but I had just lost a dear friend to a drug overdose, and I was as raw as duck over it. So, in short, I didn't want to be the reason behind someone else's oblivion. Hope that explains it. Closing the bag back up, he sighed heavily and exclaimed, "For the love of God, can you just buy me a ducking tin opener?" Is it terrible that I burst out laughing at this part? I hope you got that guy his can opener. Yes lol. Not only did I buy him a tin opener, I got his dog a bowl as well. We used to check in on this homeless man occasionally to make sure he was doing okay. One year we were chatting and he says, "Hey, I have to give you something." I was excited, thinking maybe he's super artsy and made us something cool to remember him by. He opens his trench coat and reveals a giant frozen uncooked slab of pork. "Someone gave me this ducking slab of meat. What the duck does he think I'm going to do with this? I'm sick of carrying this around." I would have taken it, cooked it up, and returned it as a pork and veggie roast. An unsolicited conversation on why they wouldn't be homeless if they pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. There's these two YouTube channels that I really admire for their interviews with the homeless. Broken Dreams, they help with awareness of the drug problem, especially the fentanyl problem in America, and how homelessness is just a spiral that people can't break. And Soft White Underbelly, they do a great job at just letting people tell their stories and how you can never judge someone just because they got handed a shitty deal in life. I just linked both of their intro videos from their channels. Edit. Here's another link to a sober woman living in a sober homeless block with schizophrenia. Since people still seem so ignorant to the troubles and mental health crisis that are so prevalent in the homeless community, and not saying that addiction isn't a mental health problem because it is, and usually starts from people self-medicating an issue they didn't even know existed. But for those ignorant people that just love to blame drugs and people being lazy and that they chose this lifestyle, this is for you. Apples. Try softer foods. Edit. Thank you for the upvotes. If there's anyone with a savvy for fundraising, I know an individual in Lahaina that could really use some attention. I call him Blind Mike. He absolutely is blind and says it's from cataracts that can be corrected with surgery. The guy toting along with him uses him as a hustle and takes most of the drive-by offerings. I've spent a good amount of time talking to him. That said, he is alcoholic and not willing to help himself, but geez, if there's a way to get his vision back, I'm more than happy to coach him from there. You know, I usually take an apple with me to work as an easy snack. On my commute, I usually pass several houseless folks. Typically, I offer them my apple, since I usually don't carry cash/change on me. I was surprised how many of them have refused because they physically don't think they can bite into an apple without fucking up their teeth/mouth. Really flabbergasted me at first, thinking a nice nutritious fruit would be a treat. Now I bring oranges and they are thrilled. Soft foods FTW. Yeah, I haven't eaten an apple in years because of my bad teeth. I recently got the rest of them 14 teeth removed, and I'm gonna get fitted for dentures at the end of December. Apples is on my list of food for ready after dentures, lol. Drugs. They will just use them to get money. Attachments for their KitchenAid stand mixer. Toaster perhaps. Garlic press. Dining set for 12 people. Milk-based foods. If a person spends some years without consuming dairy products, they lose their ability to digest lactose. Lactose intolerance increases with age. I googled to provide a reference, and there are many, so you can Google if you want to check this. People would be shocked to find out how common lactose intolerance is. Unless you're pure Northern European ancestry, there's a good chance of being lactose intolerant. I mean, East Asian people are like 93% lactose intolerant. When you think of their food, you don't usually think cream, cheese, or milk. There's a reason for it. Mexicans have a higher level of intolerance, as do African Americans. I think people just haven't lived any other way and just assume it's how life is supposed to be. I quit dairy, and I felt so much better overall. More energy and feeling normal. Lost a lot of weight doing it too. Stuff that they have to carry around. I bought a homeless man a bottle of sunscreen, an ice cream cone, and a large bottle of water and some protein bars before, as it was 40°C in Canada and he always sits by the intersection where I work, and I couldn't imagine how sunburned he would be. I was curious as to why he didn't accept the sunscreen or protein bars, but this comment offers some clarity. Sunscreen is greasy, and they don't have easy access to a shower to clean up, or even wash their hands after applying it. If you can't wash it off, then it gets on your sleeping bag and clothes, making them less warm and just overall nasty. I haven't been homeless before, but I have done some long distance hiking and did everything I possibly could to avoid sunscreen. Hats with a wide brim around the entire thing, long sleeve white shirts, UV blocking gloves, etc. I will never forget, when I was about 18, I was walking in downtown Atlanta with my mom. She gave a few bucks to every single homeless person we passed by. I was like, Mom, you know they're probably just gonna spend it on drugs or alcohol. She simply said that's none of my business. Just so matter-of-factly put me in my place and really made me think. This is also the same woman who left her $100 cash back in the self-checkout at Target by accident and didn't even go back for it. We were still in the parking lot when she realized, because it made her happy thinking how someone's day just got better when the next person used that checkout. My mom, man, she's just better than me. Period. Gatorade. I tried handing out some bottles of ice cold Gatorade one summer, and I got turned down by over a dozen people. Apparently it gives them the runs. I was thinking electrolytes. Edit. I was in my 20s. It was 105 degrees. I had a big pack of cold Gatorade bottles. Thought, hey, I'll drive around and hand these out. Everyone passed because they told me that Gatorade gives them the shits. I know water is better. It's what I had at the time. I wasn't trying to be a shitty person. Pun intended. It's got what plants crave. Tons of sugar in Gatorade, and many of those homeless may be diabetic without knowing it. Whatever they don't want. I was gonna buy a homeless dude a nice backpack once, but he didn't want it because chances he will get robbed for it or stolen. Same. I bought one regular in my neighborhood a sleeping mat, sleeping bag, and a tarp. He sold them, but he explained that if he hadn't he would have likely been robbed. They are often targeted. For Thanksgiving I saw a couple hand a turkey to a homeless guy that was panhandling. Sounds sweet, right? Except it was raw defrosted meat, and he had to stop panhandling for cash and get in the bus to go back home, or the meat goes bad. Go back home to where? To the couple's home, set it on fire and cook the turkey there. Criminal charges for simply existing. My grandma once watched a homeless woman's bag of stuff break and the woman started crying. My grandma had one of those sturdy reusable grocery bags. She asked the women if she'd like the bag. Grandma gave her the bag and the women acted like she'd been given $1 million. Sometimes it's the things we'd never expect that mean the world to the homeless. I have a similar story. I was coming home from work, and a local homeless guy was begging at the train station I got off at. It was winter, and he was in a tee and shorts, one hand holding out his change cup, the other he was just bawling into. I myself was broke as hell, had a roof over my head and a job, but was just getting by. I also knew this bloke happened to be deaf and mute as I'd read his sign a few times before. I jogged home, went up to the attic where I knew I had a brand new sleeping bag I didn't need, can't remember why, went back to the station, and kinda knelt in front of him to get his attention. I don't speak sign language, just awkwardly held the sleeping bag out in front of me, and gestured for him to take it. Dude looked at me, down at the bag, back at me, and just wrapped me in a massive bear hug. Cost me nothing, but meant so much to him. Canned food without pop tops or a can opener to go with it. Here's a valuable info. If you give someone something, homeless or not, it doesn't mean you can argue with that person about how they've used it. If you give a homeless person money, that's his money from that point on. He can spend it whenever and however he wants to. I don't care if he buys drugs or liquor. What I don't want is an old lady with a broken arm due to a desperate individual looking for a fix. Recently a person in my local Facebook group was having a huge public meltdown because she donated some clothes, then found them for sale on Marketplace. They were items like stiletto heel shoes, and they were asking $5-10 each. Maybe a person who is relying on clothing donations needs money more than they need a clubbing outfit. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to my channel for more curated daily Reddit stories.